Let me be very clear. Intelligence is not about degrees. Wisdom is not about beauty, and foolishness is not about being a woman or a man. Foolishness is about choices. My dear friends, every woman is powerful by design, but power without wisdom becomes self-destruction. I have met brilliant women with sharp minds and kind hearts who still suffered deeply, not because life was unfair, but because they kept repeating the same mistakes, hoping for a different result. Today, this talk is not to judge, it is to wake up, because awareness is the first step to freedom. Let me share 7 signs, not of a stupid woman, but of foolish patterns that silently steal joy, dignity, and destiny. Many people believe intelligence is about quick answers, sharp comebacks, or impressive achievements. But real wisdom is revealed quietly, in the choices we make when no one is watching. One of the earliest signs of foolish living is when a woman slowly starts shaping her entire life around validation instead of values. This does not happen overnight, it happens subtly. One compliment here, one approval there, one fear of rejection, and before she realizes it, her self-worth is no longer anchored within, it is outsourced to the opinions of others. I have seen this many times. A woman with talent, kindness, and depth begins asking questions, not about what is right, but about what is popular. She no longer asks, "Is this aligned with my principles?" She asks, "Will they like me?" And the moment life is lived to please the crowd, peace quietly exits through the back door. Validation is addictive. It feels good when people praise you. It feels comforting when you are accepted. But here is the danger. What feels good is not always what is good. When validation becomes the goal, authenticity becomes the sacrifice. Slowly, a woman starts editing her words, her dreams, even her silence, just to fit into expectations that were never designed for her soul. I once spoke to a young woman who was exhausted, not physically but emotionally. She said, "I don't know who I am anymore." That sentence was not born out of confusion, it was born out of over-adjustment. She had spent years being who everyone needed her to be, the agreeable one, the understanding one, the one who never said no. In that process, she abandoned the most important relationship of all, the relationship with herself. Values are quiet. They don't scream for attention, they don't trend on social media, they don't always earn applause, but they build character. And character builds destiny. A woman guided by values may be misunderstood, but she will never be lost. She may walk alone at times, but she will walk with dignity. Living for validation makes you fragile. One comment can ruin your day. One rejection can shake your confidence. One failure can make you question your worth. But living by values makes you steady. You know who you are. You know what you stand for. And when storms come, and they always do, you are not blown away by every opinion. There is something deeply spiritual about choosing values over validation. It means you trust a higher compass than public approval. It means you believe that your worth is inherent, not awarded. It means you understand that God did not create you to perform for acceptance, but to live with integrity. A foolish pattern is when a woman compromises her self-respect to avoid discomfort. She stays silent when she should speak. She agrees when her heart says no. She tolerates behavior that wounds her spirit, all in the name of being liked. But respect that is earned by self-betrayal is not respect, it is silent loss. Wisdom begins the day a woman decides, "I will be honest, even if it costs me approval." That honesty may feel lonely at first, but it attracts the right people, the ones who respect boundaries, depth, and truth. The ones who don't love you for how convenient you are, but for who you truly are. Values act like roots. The deeper they go, the stronger you stand. Validation is like wind, constantly changing direction. If your life depends on it, you will always feel unstable. But if your life is rooted in values, faith, integrity, discipline, compassion, then even when no one claps for you, you will sleep peacefully at night. And remember this, the world rewards confidence, but it bows to self-respect. When you stop chasing approval, something powerful happens. People either rise to meet your standards or quietly exit your life. Both outcomes are blessings. So choose values, even when they are inconvenient, even when they are unpopular, even when they require courage. Because a woman who knows what she stands for will never be confused about where she is going. This is not arrogance, this is alignment, and alignment is the beginning of wisdom. One of the most painful mistakes a woman can make is confusing attention with love. Attention is easy to get, love is not. Attention is loud, immediate, and addictive. Love is quiet, patient, and deeply rooted in respect. But when a woman has lived too long seeking validation, she becomes vulnerable to mistaking noise for nourishment. Attention comes with excitement, messages that arrive instantly, compliments that flatter the ego, promises that sound beautiful but lack consistency. Love, on the other hand, arrives slowly. It observes, it protects, it shows up even when it is inconvenient. The tragedy is that attention feels thrilling at first, while love often feels ordinary in the beginning. And many people, especially those who have not learned to value themselves, choose excitement over stability. I have met women who said, "He makes me feel special," but when I asked, "Does he respect your boundaries?" there was silence. Because feeling special for a moment is not the same as being valued for a lifetime. Anyone can make you feel important when it suits them. Very few will stand by you when it costs them something. A foolish pattern develops when a woman starts measuring love by intensity instead of integrity. If there is drama, she assumes there is passion. If there is uncertainty, she assumes there is depth. But love does not confuse. Love does not keep you guessing. Love does not make you anxious about your worth. True love brings peace, not boredom, peace. And peace is often misunderstood by those who are addicted to emotional chaos. When someone has lived with constant highs and lows, calm can feel unfamiliar, even uncomfortable. But unfamiliar does not mean wrong. Sometimes peace feels strange because chaos has become normal. I once heard a woman say, "I can't live without him." That sentence may sound romantic, but it is actually a warning. Love does not make you dependent. Love makes you stronger. Love does not consume your identity, it supports it. When someone truly loves you, they do not replace your world, they respect it. Attention demands, love gives. Attention asks, "What can I get from you?" Love asks, "How can I support you?" Attention disappears when you stop entertaining. Love remains even when you are tired, imperfect, or struggling. There is also a spiritual truth here. When a woman does not feel whole within herself, she seeks completion outside herself. She begins to believe that another person will heal her wounds, fill her emptiness, and give her meaning. But no human being was designed to carry that weight. That role belongs to God and self-awareness, not romantic partners. A foolish woman ignores red flags because the attention feels good. She explains away disrespect because the compliments sound sweet. She tolerates inconsistency because the occasional affection feels rewarding. This is how emotional traps are built, not with cruelty, but with small repeated compromises. Wisdom is recognizing love is proven over time, not declared in moments. Anyone can say the right words. Anyone can show up when it is easy. But watch how someone treats your time, your emotions, and your boundaries. Watch whether their actions align with their promises. That is where truth lives. A wise woman understands this deeply. If someone truly values you, they will not risk losing you through carelessness. They will not make you feel replaceable. They will not make you beg for clarity. Love does not play hide and seek. Love is present. And here is an important reminder. Being alone is far better than being with someone who drains your dignity. Loneliness can be healed. Loss of self-respect takes much longer. A woman who chooses solitude over disrespect is not weak. She is courageous. When faith is present, a woman stops begging for love and starts choosing wisely. She trusts that what is meant for her will not require self-betrayal. She understands that patience is not punishment, it is protection. So do not chase attention, it is cheap and temporary. Choose love. the kind that brings stability, respect, and growth. Choose the kind of connection that feels calm, not chaotic. Because the right love will never make you question your worth. It will remind you of it. One of the quiet but dangerous signs of foolish living is the absence of self-discipline. Many people wait for motivation, but motivation is unreliable. It comes and goes like the weather. Discipline, however, is a decision. It is choosing what you want most over what you want now. A woman without discipline may have dreams, but dreams alone do not change lives. Only habits do. I have seen incredibly talented women who remained stuck, not because they lacked intelligence, but because they lacked structure. They waited to feel inspired before acting. They waited for the right mood, the right timing, the right emotional stat. But life does not reward waiting. Life rewards consistency. Discipline is often misunderstood as harshness. People think it means punishment or restriction. In reality, discipline is a form of self-respect. It is saying, my future matters enough for me to do the difficult things today. A disciplined woman wakes up on time not because she enjoys it, but because she honors her commitments. She chooses prayer over panic, effort over excuses, and growth over comfort. Without discipline, emotions become the decision makers. And emotions are powerful, but they are poor leaders. On days when a woman feels confident, she works hard. On days when she feels low, she gives up. This emotional roller coaster creates an unstable life. Wisdom lies in showing up even when you don't feel like it. I once heard someone say, I know what I should do, but I don't do it. That gap between knowledge and action is where discipline lives. Many women know what is right. Sleeping on time, eating well, setting boundaries, developing skills, nurturing faith, but knowing is not enough. Wisdom is applied knowledge. There is also a spiritual dimension to discipline. When you train your body and mind, you are not suppressing yourself. You are aligning yourself. In spiritual practice, discipline creates clarity. It purifies intention. It strengthens willpower. A woman who cannot control her habits will always struggle to control her circumstances. A foolish pattern is choosing short-term comfort over long-term peace. Scrolling instead of studying, complaining instead of working, reacting instead of reflecting. These choices may feel harmless in the moment, but over time they compound into regret. A disciplined woman understands the power of small actions. She knows that waking up early, reading a few pages, exercising lightly, praying consistently, these are not dramatic acts, but they are transformational. She does not wait for life to change. She changes herself and life follows. Discipline also builds confidence, not the loud kind, but the quiet kind. When you keep promises to yourself, you start trusting yourself. And self-trust is one of the strongest forms of confidence. You no longer seek external validation because you know you can rely on yourself. There's a beautiful truth here. Discipline creates freedom. It may feel restrictive at first, but over time it expands your choices. A woman who disciplines her finances gains financial freedom. A woman who disciplines her emotions gains emotional stability. A woman who disciplines her spiritual life gains inner peace. Without discipline, life becomes reactive. You are constantly responding to situations instead of directing them. But with discipline, you become intentional. You decide how you spend your time, your energy, and your focus. And what you focus on grows. Faith and discipline walk together. Faith gives you direction. Discipline gives you momentum. Faith tells you where to go. Discipline ensures you actually get there. When one is missing, the journey becomes difficult. So do not wait for motivation. It will betray you. Build discipline. Start small. Be consistent. Be patient with yourself, but never complacent. Every disciplined choice you make today is a gift to your future self. And remember, a woman who masters her habits eventually masters her life. One of the most overlooked signs of foolish living is speaking too much and reflecting too little. Words are powerful. They can heal or harm, build or destroy, connect or divide. Yet many people underestimate how deeply their words shape their destiny. A woman who speaks without reflection often lives with regret. while a woman who learns the art of silence gains strength. There is a difference between expression and impulsiveness. Expression comes from clarity. Impulsiveness comes from emotion. A foolish pattern is reacting immediately, responding while angry, explaining while hurt, defending while insecure. In those moments, words are not chosen, they escape. And once spoken, they cannot be taken back. I have often said that the tongue has no bones, but it can break hearts, relationships, and futures. Many conflicts are not caused by deep problems, but by careless words spoken in moments of emotional heat. A woman may spend years building trust, and a few sentences spoken without thought can undo it. Silence is misunderstood. People think silence means weakness, fear, or lack of intelligence. But true silence comes from strength. It is the ability to pause, observe, and choose your response consciously. A wise woman does not feel the need to comment on everything. She understands that not every thought deserves a voice, and not every opinion needs an audience. Reflection is the bridge between experience and wisdom. Without reflection, experiences repeat themselves. A woman may go through the same emotional pain again and again, wondering why life feels stuck. The truth is not that life is cruel, it is that lessons are being ignored. Reflection asks, what is this moment trying to teach me? Reaction asks, how do I defend myself right now? A foolish woman often talks to release emotion. A wise woman reflects to gain understanding. One seeks relief, the other seeks growth. Venting may feel good temporarily, but reflection creates long-term clarity. I once met someone who said, I speak what I feel, that's just who I am. Honesty is important, but honesty without sensitivity becomes brutality. Wisdom lies not in saying everything you feel, but in saying what needs to be said in the right way at the right time. Truth delivered without compassion often wounds instead of heals. There is also spiritual depth in silence. When the mind is noisy, the heart cannot hear. Prayer is not only about speaking to God, it is also about listening. A woman who never sits in silence never hears her own inner guidance. She becomes dependent on external voices, opinions, advice, judgments, because she has lost touch with her inner wisdom. Talking too much often comes from insecurity, the need to explain, justify, or prove. Reflection, on the other hand, builds confidence. When you know who you are, you don't rush to defend yourself. You let your actions speak. You let time reveal truth. A foolish pattern is oversharing with the wrong people. Not everyone needs to know your struggles, plans, or emotions. Some will misunderstand, some will judge, some will use your vulnerability against you. A wise woman is selective. She knows that privacy is not secrecy, it is protection. Words have energy. When spoken repeatedly, they shape beliefs. If a woman constantly speaks negativity, complaints, blame, hopelessness, her mind starts believing it. Reflection helps break this cycle. It allows her to reframe experiences, find meaning, and respond with maturity. The strongest women I have met are not the loudest. They are the calmest. They listen more than they speak. When they do speak, their words carry weight because they are backed by thought, intention, and integrity. So pause before you speak. Breathe before you respond. Reflect before you react. Silence is not empty, it is full of answers. Wisdom grows not from speaking more, but from understanding deeper. One of the most painful signs of foolish living is remaining in places, relationships, or environments where respect is missing. Love without respect slowly becomes suffering, and suffering, when normalized, turns into self-betrayal. Many women do not leave harmful situations not because they are weak, but because they are hopeful. Hope is beautiful, but when hope replaces self-respect, it becomes dangerous. I have met women who said, "He loves me, he just doesn't know how to show it." Others said, "They treat me badly because they are stressed." Over time, excuses replace clarity. Disrespect is rebranded as misunderstanding, and slowly, dignity is negotiated away in small, painful compromises. Respect is not loud. It does not always come with romance or grand gestures, but it is consistent. It shows how someone listens to you, honors your boundaries, values your time, and speaks to you when no one is watching. Where respect is absent, love cannot survive. No matter how strong the attachment feels, a foolish pattern is believing that endurance will earn respect. It will not. Tolerating disrespect teaches people how to treat you. Every time a woman stays silent in the face of humiliation, she unknowingly sends a message that her dignity is negotiable. And once dignity becomes optional, peace disappears. There is a deep fear that keeps women stuck, fear of being alone. Society often teaches women to measure success through relationships, making loneliness feel like failure. But being alone is not the same as being empty. Being disrespected while staying connected is far more damaging than walking away in solitude. I once heard a powerful line, "Loneliness can be healed. Loss of self-respect takes much longer." A woman who leaves a disrespectful environment may cry for a while, but a woman who stays loses something far more precious, her sense of worth. Wisdom teaches us that love does not require you to shrink. It does not require you to beg, chase, or prove your value. If you have to constantly remind someone how to treat you, they are not forgetting, they are choosing not to. From a spiritual perspective, every soul carries divine dignity. When a woman accepts disrespect, she is not just dishonoring herself, she is forgetting her spiritual worth. God does not create anyone to be emotionally starved or constantly diminished. Where there is faith, there must also be boundaries. A foolish woman waits for someone to change while sacrificing her own well-being. A wise woman understands that change cannot be forced. She chooses environments that nourish her spirit instead of draining it. She knows that walking away is not always an act of anger. Sometimes it is an act of self-love. Respect also applies beyond relationships. Staying in workplaces where you are constantly undervalued, friendships where you are used, or social circles where you are mocked. These are all choices. And every choice teaches the mind what it deserves. A woman who values herself does not threaten to leave. She simply leaves when lines are crossed repeatedly. She does not explain endlessly. She does not argue for dignity. She understands that respect given out of fear is not respect, it is compliance. There is courage in choosing yourself. It feels uncomfortable at first. It feels lonely. But over time, something remarkable happens. Your energy shifts, your confidence returns, and you begin attracting people and opportunities that mirror how you treat yourself. Leaving disrespect does not mean you failed. It means you learned. It means you outgrew a space that could no longer honor the woman you are becoming. So never stay where you are constantly drained, dismissed, or diminished. Love should expand you, not erase you. Respect should be the foundation, not the reward. Because the moment a woman chooses dignity over desperation, life begins to rise to meet her. One of the most limiting signs of foolish living is playing the victim instead of taking responsibility. Pain is real, trauma is real, injustice is real. But remaining in the identity of a victim long after the event has passed keeps a woman trapped in the past. Responsibility is not about blame, it is about power. The moment a woman accepts responsibility for her life, she regains control. A foolish pattern is constantly asking, "Why did this happen to me?" A wise woman eventually asks, "What can I do with what happened to me?" One question weakens, the other transforms. Victimhood seeks sympathy. Responsibility seeks growth. I have met women who experience deep pain, betrayal, abandonment, failure. Some allowed the pain to define them, others allowed it to refine them. The difference was not the intensity of suffering, but the willingness to rise above it. Blaming parents, partners, society, fate, or circumstances may feel justified, and sometimes it is, but blame does not heal. It only delays growth. When a woman believes everyone else controls her life, she unknowingly gives away her power. Responsibility returns that power. Taking responsibility does not mean denying pain. It means refusing to let pain decide your future. It means saying, "This hurt me, but it will not hold me." This shift is uncomfortable because it requires courage. It is easier to complain than to change. It is easier to repeat old stories than to write a new chapter. A foolish woman waits for apologies, closure, or validation before moving forward. A wise woman understands that closure is an inside job. She heals not because others changed, but because she decided she deserved peace. From a spiritual lens, responsibility is sacred. Life presents challenges not to punish us, but to awaken us. Every difficulty carries a lesson. When the lesson is ignored, the difficulty repeats, often in a different form. Reflection turns pain into wisdom. Victimhood often disguises itself as self-protection. I won't try again because I might fail. I won't trust again because I was hurt. These thoughts feel safe, but they slowly shrink life. Responsibility expands it. T says, I will try again, but wiser. I will trust again, but with boundaries. A woman who takes responsibility stops waiting to be rescued. She becomes her own protector. She builds skills. She seeks knowledge. She asks for help when needed, but she does not expect others to carry her forward. There is a quiet dignity in responsibility. It does not shout, it does not complain, it works silently. And over time, life responds. Opportunities open, confidence grows, peace settles in. A foolish pattern is using the past as an excuse. A wise woman uses the past as a teacher. She honors her experiences without becoming imprisoned by them. And let me say this clearly, taking responsibility does not mean you deserve what happened to you. It means you refuse to let what happened define what is possible for you. When faith enters the picture, responsibility becomes lighter. You realize you are not walking alone. You do your part and you trust God with the rest. This balance prevents both helplessness and arrogance. So stop asking who is at fault. Start asking what is within your control. Because the moment you take responsibility, you move from surviving to living. And a woman who chooses responsibility over victimhood chooses freedom over fear. The most tragic form of foolish living is when a woman forgets her spiritual identity. When she forgets that she is not just a body, not just emotions, not just roles and labels, but a soul. The moment this forgetting happens, life becomes heavy. Expectations increase, comparisons multiply, and inner peace slowly disappears. When a woman sees herself only through worldly lenses, beauty, age, success, relationship status, she becomes vulnerable to constant insecurity. The world's standards are unstable. They change every season. What is praised today is criticized tomorrow. When identity is built on such fragile foundations, anxiety becomes inevitable. Spiritual identity provides grounding. It reminds a woman that our worth is inherent, not earned. That she was created with purpose, not by accident. That she is accountable not to trends but to truth. This awareness brings a deep, unshakable confidence, quiet, calm, and resilient. I have seen women who had everything externally but felt empty internally, and I have seen women with very little who carried peace in their eyes. The difference was not circumstances, it was connection. A woman connected to her spiritual self is not easily shaken by praise or blame. She understands that life is bigger than momentary success or failure. A foolish pattern is seeking fulfillment in people, possessions, or praise, while ignoring the soul's hunger. No amount of attention, love, or achievement can fill a spiritual void. That void demands meaning, it demands alignment, it demands connection with the divine. Faith does not make life easy, it makes life meaningful. A spiritually anchored woman still faces challenges, but she faces them with trust instead of panic. She prays before she worries, she reflects before she reacts. She surrenders what she cannot control and works diligently on what she can. When spirituality is absent, ego takes over. Comparison becomes constant. Competition becomes exhausting. Life turns into a race with no finish line. But spirituality shifts the question from, am I better than others, to am I better than yesterday? Service naturally flows from spiritual awareness. A woman who knows she is blessed looks for ways to bless others. She contributes instead of competes. She lifts instead of compares. And in giving, she receives something far greater than validation, fulfillment. There is also deep strength in surrender. Not surrender to weakness, but surrender to divine wisdom. accepting that not everything will go according to plan, yet trusting that everything can work toward growth. This faith brings calm even in uncertainty. A spiritually rooted woman does not rush. She understands timing. She knows that delays are not denials. She trusts the process without becoming passive. She walks forward with effort in her hands and faith in her heart. When identity is rooted in spirituality, fear loses power, rejection hurts less, failure teaches more, success humbles instead of inflates, life becomes balanced. And now let me leave you with a timeless truth, one that gathers everything we have spoken about into a single reminder. Don't let your intelligence make you arrogant, let it make you aware. Don't let your beauty make you proud, let it make you grateful. Don't let your pain make you bitter, let it make you wiser. Life is not about being perfect, it is about progressing with purpose. When faith leads and effort follows, even the hardest paths become meaningful. And remember, true wisdom begins the moment you stop trying to prove your worth and start living your truth. My dear friends, life does not ask you to be perfect. It asks you to be conscious. Conscious of your values, conscious of your choices, conscious of the soul you are responsible for becoming. You will make mistakes, that is human. But repeating the same mistake without learning, that is optional. When you walk with faith, you stop rushing for approval and start trusting the process. You stop begging for love and start building self-respect. You stop fearing the future and start preparing for it. Remember this, God does not bless comfort zones. He blesses courage, effort, and sincerity. So stand up every day with this intention, to grow a little wiser, to act a little kinder, to live a little more consciously than yesterday. Because when your heart is aligned with faith and your actions are guided by wisdom, life always moves in the right direction. And never forget, true intelligence is not how fast you succeed, but how deeply you stay rooted in truth while you rise.